Good evening and welcome. My name is Sandy Jacobson, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to a conversation that we are having with incoming school board member Jon Kean. It's being held in the boardroom of the Santa Monica-Malibu Unified School District buildings in the administrative offices. This conversation is co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters Education Fund and the League of Women Voters of Santa Monica Education Fund, and the Santa Monica Malibu PTA Council, working with City TV of Santa Monica. As most of you know, this year there were 3 candidates for 3 open seats on the Santa Monica Malibu School District Board of Education. Because the race was not a contested one, the election itself was canceled, and all 3 of the candidates will be sworn into office as board members in December and will serve 4-year terms of office. The League and the PTA, however, believe there's value to interviewing our new board member, particularly because he didn't have the opportunity to introduce himself and share his ideas during either an election or an appointment process. I'm going to explain the format. We're going to talk. It's that simple. And so we can start out with asking the simplest of questions. Why you? Jon, tell us about you.
I have been involved in our schools for about 13 years. I have a daughter who's a senior at Samuel High, a son who's a sophomore. I got involved in my first governance council 3 months before my daughter started kindergarten. So I have been involved in the schools for a long time. I've been a member of the Financial Oversight Committee. I've been a PTA president at Roosevelt, at Lincoln. And what I realized through all this involvement is that if I really wanted to make a difference, if I really wanted to get involved and really make change and affect policy, I had to do it from a seat here on the dais.
So that's actually my next question. You used to being a community activist, but it's different to be a sitting board member. How do you understand the differences between these 2 positions?
Yeah, I'm learning that now. One of the wonderful things about not having this election process is that I know I've already won. So I can prepare for being a board member as opposed to being a candidate. And what I'm learning is, as an activist, you really represent your point of view and you can go out and you can, storm the gates. As a board member, you're really one of 7. Right. And your only power exists as one of 7. You don't really have an individual voice other than the discussions that we have while we're coming up with the policy. So that's a real shift. And that's why I'm trying to use this time to be ready to work. I know the issues, I know the policies, but learning to be a one of 7 is going to be the growth curve.
Right. So another question that comes up in Santa Monica is that we have a representative form of government, whether it's the city council or the school board. Here's a scenario. As a board member, you will hear from the public on a variety of contentious issues. You'll listen to the public, you'll study the issues, you will vote in the way you believe best for the students, the staff, and the community. But at the next board meeting, a parent comes up to you and accuses you of selling out and not listening to the wishes of the parents of that district. How do you respond?
Okay, well, clearly this is a hypothetical situation in Santa Monica. Every decision you make is made with one thing in mind: what is best for the students. And that's the great thing about being on the school board, is you really do have that single focus. I do believe in knowing the issues before you make a decision, and I believe that once you've made that decision should be respected by the people that you are representing. We have to earn that respect. A lot of people now have that knee-jerk reaction: well, if people in government are saying this, clearly it's wrong, they can't be trusted. We have to earn the respect. I hope that the work I've put in on the ground level for a lot of years has earned me a little bit of room. But I do know that people get disappointed. What I try to remind people, and this was sort of a moment that I really recognized when we were talking about math pathways about a year and a half ago. People came to me, they were unhappy with where the math pathways in middle school were going. And it made sense, what they were saying. So I came to a board meeting ready to, shake my fist, speak truth to power. And I realized that I was doing exactly the wrong thing. A policy had been made, and 4 months in, we're going to tell them it's wrong. The policy was thoughtfully made. Whether I agree with it or not, it was made. Let's see if it works. And let's analyze and let's do a little analysis. We don't do a lot of cost-benefit analysis or quantitative analysis. Let's do more of that so people say, you know what? Even though we felt it might not work, it really is working.
Right. So let's talk about specific issues. What do you see as the most pressing long-term issue facing the district, and what do you propose to do about it now that you're going to be on that board?
Right. I'd say there are the two biggest issues we're facing right now, and they're on both ends of the spectrum. One is purely financial. We don't get enough money from the state. It's clear when California from pre-1978 was funding at this level, and post-1978 we're down there with Mississippi and Arkansas. Something is wrong with our funding sources. But the biggest issue we're facing right now is for 20 years we haven't moved the needle on the achievement gap. We're talking about equity. I know we're going to talk probably about Dr. Noguera's report. We know what we have to address. We haven't done it. So knowing that that's out there, that's the biggest issue. We are failing a portion of our children. And even the children that are achieving, we're failing them as well. So that's the biggest issue. Money would help, but we need a commitment, a focused commitment on bringing all our children up.
So you bring up the Noguera report. What struck you about that as being the most significant?
I asked a lot of people that. Nothing surprised me in that report. The only thing that surprised me in that report was that some schools hadn't fully embraced some of the professional development that we've been doing. Nothing. We knew all that. We know that's going on. That's why I wanted to run for this seat. When you're in there for a PTA meeting and you're working with families, you see this stuff, boots on the ground. What is great about the Noguera report, it brought everything out, and it brought everything out here. And there is a real commitment now. I have never seen a commitment like I see now from the school board, from the district, to really address these issues. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. So if that's what the report didn't teach me anything new, but the report has created this new sense of urgency and desire to go for change. So that's great.
And also it involves the schools themselves, the people talk about boots on the ground, the teachers, the principals, they are being called into play with this.
If we want to succeed, we've got to succeed bottom up. Top down does not work in the community, especially a community like Santa Monica. The ideas have to come from teachers, from sites, from the best initiatives that we have in our schools have come from the ground up.
So someone recently said that engagement is more than a microphone at a meeting in the high school gym, which is kind of what you were talking about before. What does that statement mean to you? What do you believe should be the role of the parents and the community members?
You know, as a engagement's a key word for everything. We're talking a lot about equity. To me, engagement is the key issue because we can have equity and no engagement. So we're talking about parent engagement right now, which is what you brought up. As a PTA leader, that's all we did. Mm-hmm. We brought parents in at Lincoln twice a month to talk about how to help your kid at school and help your kid emotionally. Those are important things. Now, if we can get 70 people out of 1,100 families, that's how it works. So we need to reach out in so many different ways. And if we're talking engagement, we have to talk about before they even start in our schools. We have to talk about before kindergarten. We have to talk about 0 through 5. Because if we're serious about achievement gap issues, you stop it before it starts. You teach parents how to engage as they become parents. You know this. It's the only job that you're not trained for.
I know.
And an actor. Parents and acting. You have no training whatsoever, and you're thrown into it. But we need to engage early. If we're engaging families in 9th grade, they've already failed at how to work the system.
Let's talk about something that I'm always amused by, the feasibility of unification. And the unification is, talk about ironic. I mean, they're talking about separating the two school districts, Malibu and Santa Monica. How do you feel about that?
It is an ironic work. We talk about unifying our districts, really unifying them separately. I think that unification is inevitable at this point. I think we need to keep pursuing
unification, meaning separating.
Right, using the proper word. I think Malibu needs to become its own district. I would love it if we could come together as a community, as two communities, and find those common grounds. I think the relationship is broken. I think there's no way of going to them now and saying, hey, can we work on this? What can we do? Let's show you the benefits of staying together. The board has directed a subcommittee out of the Financial Oversight Committee to negotiate. And they're doing great work. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope they find a solution. But I am not going to approve a solution that hurts the students in Santa Monica or that hurts the students in Malibu. We've got to find something that works for both communities. But I do think we're past the point of making nice. That kumbaya moment has sailed.
Early childhood education has long been a part of this district. You referred to that before when you were talking about getting them at age zero. Programs at John Adams and Lincoln date all the way back to World War II. And this year
I
they
think the
started.
buildings date back to World War II as well.
Oh, World War I. Yeah. This year, the district has started a new approach. Programs at 3 elementary schools and are more neighborhood focused, and a full partner in a pre-K to 5 continuum. What would you consider the evaluation criteria for judging whether this is working?
One of the great things about success in pre-K education is there are so many metrics we can look at. We can look at how kids are coming in kindergarten ready. We can see how they're doing K through 1, K through 2, to really see the effects of those preschools. To me, the most important thing, 0 to 5, is to get the kids into preschools that aren't there already. We need to find the families whose kids would benefit the most from this. Neighborhood preschools are wonderful. They're one aspect of what we need to do. But the biggest thing we need to do is get the kids who are not kindergarten ready. And again, I don't have the data for this, but I don't think those are the kids who are being served by these neighborhood preschools yet. I think there's another piece that we need to get to, and that is getting kids who are not kindergarten ready. And that's the engagement piece with the parents as well. But the metrics, analyzing preschool kindergarten readiness, that's wonderful. That is so quantifiable, and there's so much data we can use to see if it's working or not.
The Board of Education is currently in the process of selecting a new superintendent. What's the one quality you think is most important in that job?
I wish I could say that I'd be part of that process, but I am not a board member yet, so I'm as anxious as everybody else to see who comes in. I want a champion. I want an equity champion. I want somebody who comes in and who says, I got this. This is how we're going to do this. Follow me. Who brings accountability, who brings respect. So that when that person says, this is how we're going to do this in our school, people say, you're right, I'm with you. We need a leader. We need a real champion. And that's what I want to see.
So there are a number of ballot measures this year that impact education. Let's talk about Measure GS and GSH, as well as Measure V, which is for the college, I guess. Where do you stand on these measures and why?
GS and GSH are vital to our district right now. We are looking at potential $4.5 million cuts for the next 2 years. If GS and GSH do not pass, we've got $4 to $5 million a year of deferred maintenance that we fund at $1 million a year. We're going to have a $4.5 million cut. You do the math. We have so much momentum going forward right now, and we cannot take an $8 million haircut. So GS and GSH are vital. And I'm not even talking about the housing issue. Because if we have families that are not housing secure, kids who come to our schools hungry, kids who come to our schools from shelters, that's a wonderful component to what we're doing. With YYY, we had the police and fire. And then with GSH, we have affordable housing. It's a great component to education. But without those funds coming in, we cannot do the work we need to do. And V, let's talk about what's coming with that. There's going to be money coming to John Adams for the auditorium.
You mean through the college?
Through the college, there will be field space created for us. At the same time, look at the number of kids that are coming through Santa Monica High within 5 or 6 years end up at the college. It's a massive number.
Right.
And those buildings are worse than some of the buildings we have. I've been in them. You can't learn math in a building that in a room that's 105 degrees with one window up on the ceiling there. You can't do it.
So let's talk about vision, that vision thing. What is your vision for the district in the next 5 to 10 years?
I see a district where everybody in elementary school speaks Spanish and English fluently. I see a district where everybody in middle school has a vibrant computer science curriculum. I see a high school where kids, when they're in there, have a variety of classes to choose from. I see them working in the community. I see them interning. I see them taking college classes while still high school students. And I see them all finding a path to success. That's what I see.
That's a wonderful vision. Thank you, John, so much for doing this. It's great to have this opportunity to do a one-on-one, and for myself to get to know you, and for the audience to get to know you. Thank you.
And I would also, we're not cutting over, I'd also like to thank the League of Women Voters and City TV and Santa Monica-Malibu PTA Council for getting us here. Thank you, Sandy.
This conversation is part of our 2016 election programming and coverage. and it'll be replayed multiple times on Santa Monica City TV, Channel 16, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on cable channel 99. For a schedule of replay times and to view the conversation online, we invite you to go to smvote.org. And for more information on local and state ballot measures, then you can go to Voters Edge at votersedge.org. We also want to thank you, the audience, for your interest and participation. It takes all of us to make democracy work.